You know, I've listened to the debate with great interest, for whom I have great respect, when he talked about the prices being paid by our troops and what he's seen at Walter Reed and Bethesda. And I would just remind him that he's not the only one that's been out there. Many of us have talked to our troops who've been wounded. War is hell. There's no question about it. But sometimes you have to fight like the Dickens in order to preserve your way of life. I'd like to remind you just a little bit about history. You mentioned the Revolution. That brought some things to my mind. In 1776, in the winter, 4 of George Washington's subordinate generals went to Congress and asked them to remove him. And Mr. Lee of Virginia led the fight in Congress to have George Washington removed because he was ineffective. He couldn't win. One of my ancestors was at Valley Forge with George Washington when he was 14 years old. And what I want to remind you is George Washington was not removed. They didn't listen to the Congress of the United States. They didn't let Congress change things. They left him as commander-in-chief. And as a result, he won the Revolutionary War, and we're free today, and he's the father of our country. Now, the reason I bring this up is it wasn't right then for Congress to meddle and try to micromanage the war, and it isn't right now for Congress to micromanage this war. General Petraeus is the one that ought to be making the decisions, not we in this body. Not we in this body. Let the chief executive, the commander-in-chief, run the war, not 400 or 535 members of Congress. I yield back the balance of my time.
Yields back the balance.